Hi. I'm doing something really unusual here. I'm taking a second hit at the same journal. I basically don't do that. It's one time through. It is what it is. I don't watch a clock. It just is what it is. But this journal's interesting. It's marked not finished. Rarely do I get interrupted living alone and out in the sticks here, but it happens now and then. And I got called away from this one and didn't get back to it. So I'm going to see about finishing it up on the fly, and we'll see where that goes. And I'm still working with the camera. I want the things the color that they are. The wall is a very soft beige. Eyes are usually green. I keep going for that. So we'll see. This is from 10/23 of 2010, third of that day, Mayan day 7 dog. How effort gets in the way, just being. Now center and heart. Try to get the sense of this. My energy levels are still way up there. How about yours? There's some talk about the Mayan cycle and so on, but this is a little while ago, so if you want that, go to the scribed transcript. Okay, things are changing intensely as time accelerates itself into oblivion upcoming. My suggestion is that we don't need to be exerting effort. Effort is of mind and of time. I know that's a lot to swallow. I'll talk about it for a while. As the nature of physical life is the fractal, the hologram, the illusion of separation and solidity. Instead of being that in reality, it is all more of a reflection of us, of what we are within. No, I don't know how it does that. It just does. Though we've all been trained to conceive of self as a body or a body-mind, we now know that just isn't so. I hope we do. For a while, we worked with the better conception that the body was something we wear, like a physical suit of clothing. Rather than being a human being having a spiritual experience, we saw self as the spiritual being having a human experience. And that works. That's much better for a while. What about when we get beyond even this, though? I don't like that word beyond. But what about when this just doesn't seem to work? What then? What's the next step in our awakening, our expansion, coming out of the coma we've all been in? And honey, we've been asleep for a very long time. It's so funny, really, We don't wake up until we're dying, until the body's dying. You can't die. And then all of a sudden we do this big waking up thing. It's bizarre. Anyway, okay, let's begin to expand out even further to take in, are you ready? All of cosmos as the self, thus becoming the real one. What about that? Are you ready to expand into this? We already are that. And that's the cosmic joke, in a way. There's nothing we need to do or to become to get somewhere. We are already fully there. Not just becoming, already that. Take all of time and space in. Wrap it all up into one great big balloon. You are that. I am that is the literal truth on some level. Okay, maybe we don't always have full conscious access to that. Well, for that, there are very good reasons. And anyway, so what? Does that invalidate it? I think not. Come with me, then, as I share with you, with your mind, how it's a really beautiful walk that we're on. There is nothing to fear, nor is any effort required. And that one's a major shock, I know. What we're learning, though, is just to be, just to let ourselves just be. That is all. And to be that which we already are. Thus, we look into effort and how that just gets in the way. Next comes a look at acceptance. What must we accept to let or welcome this vision in? What beliefs, what thoughts stand in the way? This is what makes up our blinders, our goggles that limit our vision. It's time to look within to examine our thoughts, our beliefs. As they go crashing down, you'll watch your vision expand. It's mighty cool. Vision is key to absolutely everything in my book. That's what is next. Once we recognize and realize how we're really the ones in charge of our vision, that our beliefs are what molds and models our vision, then we can really take off. There are quite literally no limits. Let that sink in. Except the ones that we choose via our beliefs. And we're in charge of that. It's really empowering. Sovereign beings all are. Are you feeling it? Once we go this far, we're ready to just be while observing. And that's all. No effort, just be. As we watch the self, we begin to see what's underneath, what's been limiting us. I think I'll step out here for a minute. I remember what a challenge it was for me when I began just observing, just watching. If you're in the mind, you're going to want to tamper and tinker. You're going to want to edit yourself. You're going to want to take control of what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're thinking. You're going to want to shove and push yourself around. Mind is really very violent. We don't realize it, but it destroys our peace. And so what I noticed was, in a way, that was good, because now I was kind of in two places at once. I was in heart. I wasn't totally accomplished, and nor am I now, and experienced at that. But I was in heart to do this observing. And yet I was witnessing mind. And as we first begin to step back and witness the mind, it's difficult because we're half in the mind and we're half in the heart. And so it's like we keep getting jerked around back and forth this way and that. The good thing, though, is that mind is so harsh with us, because as we're in heart, it has a completely different feel to it, and that stands out. We should on ourselves all the time. We have all these ideas and thoughts and beliefs about how we should be, what we should say, what we should eat, what we should, it's endless. I don't need to keep going on for you. You have a mind. This is real self-abuse. But no one ever told us that. It's a new perspective. We're not used to looking at it this way. But I found that it was the contrast provided by being in heart, where the closest thing that I found to it is people's descriptions of the NDE and that love they step into and that acceptance and that peace and joy and all of that. It's not as amped up and intense as an NDE, but it's the same flavor. It's the same thing. That's the space you're entering when you're in heart. And so then the mind's intrusions are really noticeable. And we're so identified with it, and the way we discover that is we can't just let ourselves be. And it's hard. The reason it's hard to just leave yourself alone and let yourself say something nasty if that's what you feel like doing, you know, or do something or eat something that's not good for you. Oh my God, you know. We chain and box and cage ourselves in something fierce. And so that's the contrast that I noticed. Maybe you'll notice it too as you really begin to observe, because to observe means don't tinker, don't tamper, just watch. And for maybe the first time in your life since you were an infant, you'll begin to get the feeling of the freedom of what it's like to just be. And just do what you feel like doing. Do what makes you happy without thinking about it. It's strange to us in the West, but it's powerful. Okay, that was a rather big edit, so I'm going to go back here so I can carry the stream of where we were. Okay, so I'm saying what has been limiting us? Often it's a refusal to see, and often what's under that is fear. As we take these steps, we will be shown what our fears are. So be ready for that. It's a real blessing to be shown what our challenges, what our limitations are. Where we've empowered these things by not looking at, not facing, not examining them, and seeing what gifts lay underneath. Well, the rising energy levels, the increased solar frequencies and energies are helping to bring all this stuff up to the surface now. And I talk about that often, so there's no need to go into it here. And don't think you're alone in all the mess you're wading through there either. Please realize we're all doing this together, and it's part of what's meant to be, and what has to be cleaned up within each of us as we purify, getting ready to rise up in consciousness. And actually, we're rising in consciousness a little bit each day. So this is simply a natural part of that. It means we're on our way. So take comfort in that we're all going through our own particular version of the same thing. It's not personal, not at all. Well, we have our own particular flavors and colors of garbage, that's true. Mine may not be exactly like yours, but so what? Did you expect them to be? Our personal garbage is as unique as our divine gifts. Not one single being in all universes, in all of cosmos, has walked the exact path that you have. You are totally unique and totally beloved. Your challenges are part and parcel of your own personal path down through all those embodiments. Ultimately, there really isn't anything personal. Did you know that? Have you been to that particular space yet? It's really wild. We all exist there already, but it's a matter of what levels and layers of being are currently exposed to us and available to work with, to work on. Nisargadatta is fond of saying there really are no such thing as persons at all. There's only the one. Frankly, just think what it would be like if we got access, that golden skeleton key, to absolutely everything all at once. Could you handle that? All of your karma dumped on your doorstep at once. All your loans and notes, your credit card debt called in, the mortgage, all at the same time. Right now. Yeah, right. No thanks. And that's another good reason for time, to help us sort things out piecemeal, a few at a time. Way back when, and for a very long time, it was one thing at a time, but things have accelerated so much by now that it's a few things at a time. And it's only going faster on up ahead. So let's make the best use of what we have now. And as I said, this journal is marked not finished, so let me finish it up. What I'm seeking to share here is the ultimate total relaxation that comes when you realize that you already are everything. If the only thing between you and something is time, then that's not real. That's a phony barrier. That's a thought cage that we constructed for ourselves. Time is not a limit. All time is simultaneous. We are living each and every one of our incarnations right now, right here and now. And as we get rid of all the thoughts, attitudes, ideas, and beliefs that are in the way of that, that opens doors, that lifts the veil, and we begin to have more and more of these seemingly psychic or miraculous or strange experiences, whatever you want to call it. We're blocking ourselves is what all of this amounts to. And we've been taught and trained that it's a doing and a going and a striving and a searching and a climbing the mountain and all of that. And all that does is take us away from center and from what we really are and what we really already have. It's just like the conscious mind is such a small fragment of the whole, which would include the subconscious, the unconscious, maybe the superconscious. And so if we don't have awareness of something in the conscious mind, that's not saying much. That doesn't mean we don't have awareness of it. That just means we don't have conscious awareness of it. And that's a big difference. Maybe meditate or ponder on that, because everything's fractal. And by looking at that small picture there of how the mind is, in the various levels that we either have or do not currently have conscious access to, that's a way of expanding out and realizing, just refusing to be limited by what we have conscious access to. A refusal to bind yourself and say, well, I'm just this limited little thing, this 4% of my awareness, which is my conscious awareness. That's me. That's how science and everybody has defined the self. And it's a really cramped, limited little box. Another way of accessing it fractally is to look at the electromagnetic spectrum, at the full thing. Have you ever Googled it and looked at it and seen what a tiny small slice visible light is? It's a very small piece of the pie. It's just the smallest thing that we have conscious access to, conscious awareness of, and access to through the five senses, David Icke is always talking about the 5 cents reality, and sometimes people think he means 5 cents as in 5 pennies, but he's saying 5 cents is in the 5 senses. And, you know, it can be looked at both ways. Maybe he does mean it both ways. But when I've seen it written, it's always been the senses, you know. And they perceive a fragment of what they don't really perceive what is. Come on. What is the fact that all of the solid substance in your human body fits in a thimble with room to spare. That's reality. Atoms are empty space. 99.99999% empty space. That's what an atom is. That's the structure of your body, mind, being there. You're empty space. You're not really there, you know? And the senses give us, it's a virtual reality that we're in here. It's another level and layer of dreaming. This is no more real than our night dreams are real. And I hate to tell you this, folks, but our night dreams are more real than this. But anyway, we're morphing. And as we get down in there and look, just looking, the observing is what brings all this stuff up. As we observe, anchored in heart, we will be shown, things will be brought before our awareness and our attention. And it's totally intuitive. You will be guided and you will be shown what are the blocks, what are the things that are in your way, what are the fears. Now, this isn't the most comfortable ride in the park, all right? Because in order to work our way through some of this, it's most uncomfortable. I've been journaling and not journaling over these last 5 days or so, and it's been one pretty steady, constant pain, physical and emotional. You know, I've been going through, I'm so much less concerned about a physical body because they come and go. You know, it's a very short time span that we're wearing the body that we're in now, in spite of how it may seem. It's the blink of an eye to the totality of who and what we are. But our inner being, our emotions, when we have pain there, like relationship pain, this kind of thing, or the pain of facing our dark side, our garbage, our imperfections, our whatever it is that's giving us a hard time, that's harder, and it's more real to me than physical pain. But anyway, why was I off on that little tangent? I don't know. I'm sorry. So the thing is, we are that. Let's pull it back to center. When we're in heart, and when we just set out to observe, that's the simplest thing, and it sounds so easy, and maybe you think you're doing it, but maybe you're not. Observing means not editing. It means literally doing just what you feel like doing. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean saying just what you feel like saying, because you don't want to react. From heart, we don't react, we act. And so when I'm saying doing what you feel like doing, I'm saying what you feel like doing in your heart. Your heart. It's just a different space. And we're not used to just letting ourselves be. And all this stuff, all of this, it's mind garbage, all of this effort and attempting to be perfect and to mold ourselves and to be just so, look just so, and all of that kind of thing. Maybe let's just have a look at it and see how much of it we can just let go. Is it really doing you any good? The real you. What are you propping up with all of that that's real? Let's try to be real. Okay. I guess I've gone on long enough. See you in heart.